I'm getting a lot of questions on AI searches from my clients. How are we going to get optimized? How are we going to come up for AI? That if you're doing good SEO, then organically you're going to start getting found for AI searches, right?
At the end of the day, you need to buy something, you need to walk into a store. And I think that's where finding a white label firm that can actually deliver tasks that are helpful, finding a firm that will talk to you and communicate about how what we're doing translates into business is really where the successful agencies make their money.
What I look for in the sales process is clients that really do not want to be tasked with what we do. And so one of the things I tell them during the sales process is, listen, people like you hire me every day because it allows us to do what we do best. And that's your online reputation marketing. And that allows you to do what you do best.
One of the things I've started doing more recently when I'm talking to my clients about reviews, because local search is part of what we handle for some of our clients, is I wrote them basically like a how to ask for a review document, including in the reviews things like where they're located, this type of service that was provided, how long it took, like not going all the way down to like what the price I paid was, but like including as much relevant information to geolocate that review to a particular customer and to a service that was provided.
Welcome to another episode of SEO On Air. With us today, we have 4 great guests. We're going to give you each a chance to introduce yourself. But first, I want to let the guests or our viewers know a little bit about Stan Ventures and the recording. So this is our 3rd season. We've been doing this for agency owners and agency leadership, specifically in the SEO realm. And today we have, again, 4 great guests with us. We want to learn a little bit about each of you before we dive into the questions. And we'll start with just some quick introductions. And starting with Sam, if you could tell us just a little bit about your background and your agency, what makes you guys tick?
Sure, thanks. Name is Sam Insalaco. My company name is The Brew Room, so thebrewroom.com. Started 14 years ago building websites kind of on the side while working as a project manager at a big agency. I felt like there was a better way to do some things. And I was responsible for creating websites that really people had a hard time finding. So I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I dove headfirst into the SEO world and really loved it. I followed, like, this is something I really like to do. It's a fun game to me. I really enjoy working with all sorts of different clients. I have anywhere from attorneys to construction companies to painting contractors to nutritionists. So I have kind of across the board, but I just really love working with different types of people, both from a local as well as e-commerce and like enterprise level.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you here. One thing that stuck out to me when we chatted was that there was a quality and quantity aspect of what you're doing where you're really trying to maximize quality over quantity. And that was unique for a lot of agencies. So we're excited to hear more about that. Chris, tell us a little bit about what you do.
So we are a reputation marketing specific agency. So we focus on helping our clients generate reviews and capture testimonials is our most recent service offering. Recently, we moved into some CX training because we're highly focused on the automotive industry right now, where there's a great need for CX training. You know, going back, I started my first agency in 2003. We were print-based, so we used to sell advertising to car dealers with those free publications that had inventory for sale. Previous to that, I worked for Auto Trader magazine. So we did the print media model till 2014, switched to digital, started doing social media marketing, reputation management, and a little local SEO for car dealers. And then we transitioned to really a generalist agency in 2016, started selling into healthcare, home services, which I thought felt quite challenging over time. I thought automotive dealers were hard to sell to until I tried to sell healthcare. And healthcare can probably be the most challenging, in my opinion. Recently, we went back and we're fully focused on automotive. And so we're going into franchise car dealerships, selling them a technology that helps them capture video testimonials at the time of sale and then share that with the customer. The customer can share it on their social media. The app also gives the car salesman the ability to market and brand themselves on social media. So they're generating referrals and leads from that. So that's where we're at now. But yeah, we love what we do. I love, I just spent 2 days in Daphne, Alabama at 2 car dealerships working with sales teams. So we're on location actually doing the training. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it's fun and fulfilling.
The authenticity of reviews is becoming so important, I feel like. And I appreciate just in our brief conversation earlier that's obviously a value of yours. That means a lot to you guys too.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of changes going on there.
Okay, Flynn, tell us about what you do.
Yeah, my name is Flynn Zeiger. I'm the CEO founder of Online Optimism. I started it 13 years ago, which I thought was a long history. And then Sam got me beat by a year and Chris got me beat by a decade. So I guess I'm the newbie in this call. The company's actually based in New Orleans. So I lived until 2021. I now live in New York City with my wife. So essentially, we are a 20-person agency. We are pretty much split in half. About half our agency runs like a local digital marketing team in New Orleans. About half our staff live there. So we do like TikTok, video, local SEO campaigns there. And then the other half are our national clients, which are more on Google Ads. And then we also, as for the past couple of years, have been doing organic Reddit marketing for some brands. So that's one of our more unique aspects, since not every agency offers that nowadays. So it's pretty exciting to get to live in both the local and national worlds. I'm excited to talk with y'all.
Yeah, Flynn, just to touch on that as well, I saw a LinkedIn post from you recently that discussed your Reddit strategy a bit. And it talked about how you create actual profile pages for the companies you work with rather than just trying to manipulate the Reddit system to be in your favor, which again, talking about authenticity, I like that that's along the lines of what Chris does for his reviews.
Yeah, we're doing
Nice
our
to have
best.
you here.
Sorry to any Redditors whose platform I'm on. I apologize in advance, but we're doing what we can to be good members.
Brad, please give us a view of your business.
Thanks. So Brad Poller, I'm the owner of Princeton Internet Marketing. We're a digital agency. We've been in business since 2009. Prior to that, I was doing affiliate marketing for about 5 years. What I had done was when I was doing affiliate marketing, I was driving a lot of leads to our clients, and I was driving so many leads to them that they had come to us and said, "Hey, can you just do it for us as part of as an agency we could hire?" And so that started with one, then two. Now we've got over 350 clients in every industry. We do everything from, we're a full service agency at this point. We do search engine optimization, social media marketing, paid search advertising, and website development work. We work with a lot of national franchises. We work with a bunch of manufacturers who have dealer networks around the country. And then we work with a lot of mom and pops, from neighborhoods all around the country as well. So, I'd love to learn a little bit more about what some of these guys are doing. I think one of the things that we've implemented at our agency that has really sort of helped drive a lot more engagement with our clients has been implementing a CRM strategy for each of them when they come in the door, so that we have all their processes in place and we know where their leads are coming from and all the efforts that we're doing, and that sort of that's helped us really set ourselves apart. It's also a really sticky product for our clients because it does keep them coming back to us because we're their hub of leads for their businesses.
I'm on mute, but I'm excited to have you here. It's nice to have contrast in the size of the marketing agencies we talk with too, because there is a lot of discussion around like, how do you maintain quality when you're now hiring employees, and how do they match the performance that you do on your own when you've maybe been an expert yourself and now you're trying to find someone that can match that to deliver the same experience to your customers. So it'll be nice to have your perspective of the scale at which you're doing things compared to some of the other agencies that are keeping it smaller and tighter because they feel like they have more control. So excited you're here as well.
I've found that we've had to hire one new employee for every 10 clients we bring in is basically our ratio.
Yeah, we'll dive into that because the first question I think actually is a good contrast maybe between small and large agencies, because it really comes down to the communication aspect of marketing. So one of the things that we find is that the industry, and many of you are going to experience this with your own customers that are signing up or that you're talking to, they feel like they've been burned by past agency owners, whether it's a lack of transparency, whether it's a lack of communication. They have a variety of reasons that they may feel that way. Some valid, some maybe completely invalid. As we know, they may not know what they need and maybe aren't trusting the agency to do what they should be doing. But tell me, opening up to the group, how are you able to maintain quality as you grow? What are you doing to make sure that your customers are seeing the real value of your agency where they haven't felt it before?
So I could jump in with one of the things that, we try to do is when we're sending a report, we always follow up with an actual meeting. We try to meet with our clients at least once a month. We try to not only just send the numbers, but we tell the story behind the numbers that helps them, understand where we're coming from, why we've done the things that we're doing, admit what's not working. We try to bring that, first and foremost and say, these are the problems that we had with what our initiatives were this month, and then get that out of the way so that we can talk about, some of the wins that we've had throughout the month. A lot of the good communication with the clients has to do with trying to create shared goals. So I always try to approach it as if they're on our team or we're on their team. So it's not sort of us against them. If we position it that way, we always feel like we're just an extension of their marketing department versus the company that they've hired to do their marketing, and now everything is on our shoulders to take care of it.
Yeah, I love that, Brad. And in our industry, car dealers that we're selling specifically to, they rather you be considered a partner versus a vendor. And that's about aligning with them, right? And one of the things that we do that I think very similar to what you do is we meet with our clients on a regular basis. We're just not reporting the news with the metrics. We're saying, hey, here's how we can get better. Here's what we can do different. And one of the most important things we do, I feel, as our client success specialists will ask at the very end of the call, and the call could have gone perfectly, but they would ask the question, hey, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your satisfaction with Reputation Sensei? And sometimes they answer less than 5, and anything less than 5 is a red flag. And if they answer, 3 or 4, well, how can we move that to a 5? And they'll tell you exactly what you need to do to improve. But when they respond a 5, which they often do most of the time, then that follow-up question is great. Thank you for that. And would you mind sharing, we drink our own Kool-Aid. Would you mind sharing that with a review? We send out a review request. So we get lots of reviews from the client success team.
Can I ask Chris, what's the timing of that with the, is it on the first call? Is it every call? Is it after 6 months? When do you think it's an appropriate time to ask for a review from a client?
Certainly, we want to wait some time. We're going to do that at the 3 or 6 month mark. And oftentimes in the car business, we're dealing with new people. There's a lot of turnover. So, just because we've got a review one time from one person doesn't mean we can't get it from the next person in line or another person within the organization. But yeah, I would definitely wait 3 to 6 months in before you ask.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'd say for us, I agree with everyone that says at a minimum once a month. But some of our clients we talk to even as frequently as twice a week. My real goal in what we tell clients is we'll talk to them as often as they'd like. That could get you into a trap, depending on your pricing. And I think that's something that we address at the contract renewal. But we really believe if a client wants to talk to us and it's during business hours, they should be available to do so. So we try to be as communicative as they would like.
Yeah, I'd say my model pretty much parallels Brad's. Not a lot different, but I physically talk to each of my clients each month. I have a monthly check-in. Some of them I talk to actually more than that in terms of a regularly scheduled call. But I also have Slack channels with some of my clients because I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I have so many emails that come in every single day that things can just get lost and buried and deprioritized or just missed entirely. So some of my clients just poke me on, in fact, one did right before this call, hey, Sam, we're putting this press release out tomorrow. Can you help us get it up on the website and add your touches to it? It's yep, sure. So I actually prefer that over things just getting bombarded in my email. But monthly I used to send out an automated report to all my clients. And then I also used to set up Looker Studio reports, and I still do for some of my clients. But I've found that they're just another thing for them to either ignore or, so I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, thanks for sending. Great. So back to what Brad said about providing all right, I provide the numbers, but we provide our take on the numbers. I do the exact same thing. I was all right, here's your search performance over the last 30 days or 3 months, or whatever kind of report we're creating. Here's what I'm thinking about that. And why I think A, B, and C matters, and what something we changed or how it may have affected what these numbers now display. And then also all right, we've done all this. Now what? What do we want to do next to help move the needle? And it's usually, and this is something Cody, you and I talked about last time we talked, is I need that open line of communication with the client to really understand what their goals are. Because I can just sit in my own little box and say, all right, I can tell that this page is not ranking well, but the client will be I don't care about that much. I care about this more than that. So having that open line of communication with them and understanding their business needs and goals and making sure that what I am doing supports that.
So I actually have a follow-up question on that. So one of the things that I've done, which I think has helped me more than it's hurt me, but it's a challenge, is that I don't have my clients sign up for a year contract or, long-term contract. My motto is you stay with me for as long as you're happy with what I'm doing, and you could cancel anytime. I'm curious about what your guys' strategies have been to, in that regard. Is it on a case-by-case basis, or is it you've got a flat-out, agreement with them?
We might have the same haircut and the same methodology. I actually don't lock anybody into any length of contract period. I tell them, stick with me 3 to 6 months. Like, I want that much time to prove that what I'm doing matters and makes sense and works for you. And I have very little attrition. Like the only times people leave or like when their business gets sold or something like that, or like somebody that I was working with moves to another company and then they take me to their company. So, I don't lock anybody into long-term contracts. And sometimes I cringe at it. It's like, when I'm going to answer this and say, I'm not going to put you under contract. But generally, I'll say 99% of the time, it's fine. And I think it builds a little bit of trust with the client too ahead of time, right?
In the automotive sector, they typically won't sign contracts. They're like, if you won't go month to month, and I always ask for at least 3 months, because just to get them integrated with our systems there's a heavy lift. So I say, give me a 90-day, 3-month agreement with month to month after that. But I have a 90-day guarantee. At the end of 90 days, if you're not completely blown away by what we're doing, cancel the services and I'll refund 100% of your money. I've never had to do it to date. Oh yeah. And once we integrate with their systems and we got the review requests going out, if you visit one of the dealerships and leave service or have to buy a car, you're getting a review request from us. So the integrations are quite complex and they take time to actually implement. So it makes us very sticky. Typically, we don't lose a lot of clients in the franchise car dealership space.
That 100% refund sounds great for customers. I'm terrified just listening to that promise, but that's very generous of you. Real confident. We'll be the one people with contracts. So we always do 6 or 12-month contracts. We do let people after 90 days, similar to Chris, let people give us 30 days notice. But that's I like the 6 or month lock-in mostly because I think I think it's just helpful for us to plan cash flow. And B, it means that every 6 or 12 months, rather than like a perpetual contract, you're really sitting down and being like, have we earned your business again? Or the scope of service still accurate? Is it still helpful? Particularly nowadays where like what we're actually doing for SEO, AISEO changes every couple of weeks. It's good to like really have a lock-in point, I feel. But we absolutely lose clients, probably to the 3 of you who don't want to sign those sorts of contracts and end those calls very quickly because they want someone who they could change on. But that's just how we are.
Just curious, Flynn, who are you selling to? What's your, do you have a niche or your general?
I usually say medium-sized businesses, small to medium. Our general customer has a 1 to 10 person marketing team. So they already have some in-house employees and we cover the aspects that in-house team doesn't want to do.
But is there any specific industry that you're selling to?
All over the place.
Okay.
So do you find that, I know because I have it, that those companies that do have the small team where, again, like Brad said, you become an extension of the marketing team, do you find it's better or worse depending on size of the marketing in terms of the marketing team internally? I think you know where I'm going.
Teach a man to fish problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I honestly, in times like that where they bring the services in-house, I don't know how y'all are, but as a business owner, I take like every client loss personally. Like that is a failure of Flynn as a human that I didn't keep their business. And so I think if they, at whatever point, don't see the value in our agency, then like that, they should take it in-house and they should do that sort of work. I do think we tend to see that more on the bigger teams just because they have more resources. It's pretty hard for a 1-person team to try to replace an agency with just one other hire.
I like it when they take it in-house and then they come back.
I found that like the transparency, just going back to the original question, cover the transparency with the clients on what we're working on and what we're doing, that builds the trust. with the client, and that trust is what helps solidify the communication concerns that they might have. It's, they know that, we're crystal clear on what they're doing. It's not a black box that it's going into. We show them what we're doing. Definitely come back and bid us because we've shown them, how we're doing what we're doing. But, we lean towards, you don't have to do this because we're taking care of it for you. And if we take care of that, that typically helps keep us the business.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a twist on the question and maybe go into like the darker perspective, because right now we're knowing what you guys are doing well, but there's a lot of red flags that a customer could look for in an agency that's doing things that maybe the four of you would consider red flags for looking for an agency. And I think that that's an interesting thing. Like maybe even some of you are doing something that the others might consider red flags and you don't know that it's considered one by the industry or by some in the industry. Can you tell me what you would say to like a customer should be looking for as far as red flags from an agency? And I'll start off by sharing one that I think I saw was that there was a LinkedIn post that brought that up. And I was thinking about like, what's a red flag that I've seen? And one specifically that came up was I saw an agency was sending their monthly reports. And one, I couldn't tell you what they did on the monthly basis. But the thing that really caught me was there was like this full profile of the account manager and a nice shiny picture. And I was like, I really felt like they were trying to convince you that you can't leave this person, you can't hurt this person, like trying to pull some emotion rather than just be logical with like, this is what we're doing that makes this effective for you. And that's one that I saw that I brought up that red flag. I'm curious to see what you guys might say.
Maybe that's like I have with my kids up here.
Yeah.
Don't fire me.
Like, those are my kids. They have to eat.
Amazing. One of the big red flags that I see with a number of agencies that has won me a lot of business if somebody else is working with another agency is the lack of transparency, especially in the paid search realm. So if they're running paid search, but you can't access the Google Ads account, you could only access their dashboard, there's notoriously a 25, 50, 100% markup that is, being implemented on top of the fee that you're paying, for the service. We found that. I just discovered it with a client of mine, and the agency, they actually gave us access to the ads account and didn't realize that they were 100% marking up the ads in the dashboard that the client was seeing. And so the client was paying 20 grand a month and we were showing them they only spent 10 grand a month. And it was, so that's been a big red flag for a lot of ways to win business.
Yeah, I agree with that transparency. That's something, if there's any like in-house marketers listening, I think it's a great point that you should own pretty much everything that you pay for. Or one thing that we sometimes do and sometimes don't do, so I'll honestly say this is occasionally a red flag on us, is auditing work before you get started, I think is interesting. I feel like there's a pretty gray area with when you are searching for agencies, how much of like an audit or analysis or recommendations should you expect? I think it's fair to ask a few questions about your current presence. I think sometimes people will expect like full campaign or spec work. And that's depending on how much we want the business is depending on if we'll do it or not. But I think if anyone's like refusing to offer any advice or information, I usually take that as a red flag. But, sometimes people just want their work to be paid for. So it could go either way.
Yeah. And just to expand off Brad's point, we were back when we were selling healthcare, we were, introduced to a client who was spending 30 grand a month on dental marketing, and they were paying the agency 30 grand. They had no idea how much they were spending on ads. In fact, when we crawled the market, we couldn't find any ads running. But we did find a competitor that this agency was running, a competing dental office. So he was running ads against his own client. And I don't think he was spending any money for his the client that we actually took from him. But that was very concerning. That I actually did a vlog that week on the 5 things to look for when considering a digital marketing agency. And there were 5 red flags that I highlighted that agency was doing. And it was directed directly at the guy because he was basically, in my opinion, stealing from the client. And he had switched agency names 3 times. Yeah, that's a really red flag, right?
Yeah. I'd say ditto to everything everybody basically just said. I've definitely experienced what Brad was talking about. Matter of fact, I've had numerous clients come over to me that were contacting me for SEO. Like, but yeah, we're using paid search with so-and-so or whatever other company. I was like, oh, can I get a look at that and maybe see what's going on there? Because we do that as well and we can help you. Like, well, no, because we don't have any visibility into that campaign. All we get is a report once in a while of how the campaign's doing. And I was like, well, I can't find your ads anywhere. So it's like similar situation. But yeah, I'd say the biggest thing, and I hear almost every time a new SEO lead comes my way, is like, they literally say, I have no idea what my SEO guy or SEO company is doing. They have no idea. There's no communication. One told me, new client that I have now is 6 months ago. She's like, I haven't talked to them in 2 years.
Oh no.
2 years. And I was like, why are you paying the bill?
It's their favorite customer right there.
Yeah. Holy cow. 2 years. There's no outreach by the agency whatsoever. That's bad.
Just to add to that, when a client doesn't know what their cost per lead is, or they don't even know if leads are being converted, or they know how many conversions they're getting in a given month, that's a big red flag with with agencies that aren't talking about what it's costing to acquire these leads that we're getting paid to get for them, right? If they don't know what they're and a lot of these people don't even know what the value of their leads are. What the lifetime value of a new customer is, and those are things that, as a business, if your agency isn't making you nail that down, it's a big red flag, because it just means that they're just trying to sort of, nothing to see here, look behind the curtain.
You see, how much client education do you do, I think, at the beginning? Because a lot of clients come to us and they just don't know that. But I feel like that must be a pretty big uplift for you to just try to teach them and show them how to look through the reports.
Yeah, it's the first question I ask them is, how much does it cost you to acquire a lead? What's the lifetime value of each of your leads? And, and what is and which lead source is generating, the most leads for you? And what's your budget? And are you spending, 5 or 8% of your revenues on advertising yet? Right. So if they're not in that place and they don't know, then there's a lot of education that needs to be done. The hardest thing to do is, as you guys all know, is get a lead or get a new client to start spending money when they've never had to spend money before on advertising. Oh, I've built my business organically. And then all of a sudden we're asking them to spend money on something that they haven't had to spend it on before. And you really measure their expectations in order to do that.
Another one that I've seen that I'd be curious to get your perspective on is selling keyword rankings nowadays.
I don't do that anymore. I used to back in the day. Here are the 10 keywords we're going to help you rank for. But now it's we're looking at the overall amount of keywords we're helping them get found for. It helps a lot with that, because Google no longer has exact match. They no longer have, they have intent-based search. And if you're optimizing for a page, you don't know which keyword on that page is going to actually get picked up and get, and run with. So, we're looking at the holistic view, not only the quality of the individual keywords you're getting found for, but, what's the experience like when they get to that page because they found you for that keyword.
Yeah, I think that for me, that shows up as a red flag because of the pattern of fulfillment agencies, like white label fulfillment agencies that have a set package that they sell, where you can't necessarily communicate what's changing on a monthly basis because it's just a set amount of tasks that are being done on a monthly basis, and you're assuming results based on that. That's one of those other red flags that I think I see from agencies that are selling a service but not necessarily trying to fulfill at its peak.
One of the education hurdles that I've run into too with some new clients or even leads is like, well, I want to rank for these terms. I was like, that's great. It's like, that actually what people are searching for. And usually it's like a set list, like you're talking about, Brad, where I can tell where this is coming from. And it's like you were saying, where, there's probably an agency, a white label company out there that's we're going to help you rank for blah, 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 blah. Where, we kind of do the same as Brad, where we're like, all right, well, let's look at those terms and then look at what really kind of what conversations are happening out there about what people are actually searching for, talking about online as it relates to what you do. And then we'll come up with together what the priority should be in terms of content to create or things to rank for.
I bring this up. It's interesting because Stan Ventures is a white label fulfillment agency. So I guess in some ways I should be cautious how my team hears this, but realistically, I feel like there's a perspective of agencies in the US with the way things are changing in the industry that agencies may not be as needed as they once were, that many people are going to try to figure it out how to do it on their own. And I think about that from our fulfillment side of things. We're a fulfillment team that can do the work for you. And to a certain extent, we feel like we can do the strategy for you, but the communication aspect of agencies and understanding what the customer wants or actually needs, and then translating that into actual fulfillment tasks is where I feel like agencies are so uniquely positioned still, that a customer really doesn't know what tasks they need completed. They just have an end goal, and your job is to translate. Does that seem to fit into what you guys feel like your purpose is for these companies, is translation?
I mean, I think it goes back to Brad's point on education, right? Like, this is white label firms, AI, like, have all made that pretty clear that it's like, it is not that much of a challenge to knock off tasks. I could open up ChatGPT, tell an agent to run a campaign, and it will publish like a published blog post. It can put out way more social media content, way more blog content, way more than anything a human could do, or even an agency. But is it delivering to a business? If you're a website that's just trying to make money off ads, impressions, you might be able to get away with it. But it sounds like we're all working for businesses that at the end of the day, you need to buy something, you need to walk into a store. And I think that's where finding a white label firm that can actually deliver tasks that are helpful, finding a firm that will talk to you and communicate about how what we're doing translates into business is really where the successful agencies make their money.
Well, what I look for in the sales process is clients that really do not want to be tasked with what we do. And so one of the things I tell them during the sales process is, listen, people like you hire me every day because it allows us to do what we do best. And that's your online reputation marketing. And that allows you to do what you do best. And that's either sell cars or whatever services they offer. But that always resonates with people because at the end of the day, most clients don't want to mess with this stuff. They want to pay someone so they can focus on their core business.
So I thought to take this into the next question here, which I think we're moving into more like the AI conversation. We talk about, I mentioned translation, and I think that's pretty important from the SEO standpoint. But now there's this AISEO, GEO term that's new to the industry. Your customer's getting blasted by it. And it's telling them that if they're not doing it, they're basically about to go out of business all over everything that I feel like I see. So there's a translation aspect now. What are you doing for your customers in communicating how important AISEO or GEO is, when a lot of people say that the Venn diagram of SEO and AISEO is practically an overlapping circle, but the customer's not seeing it that way? I want to get your perspective on how much you're really optimizing and how you're communicating to your customer the AISEO, GEO aspect of marketing today.
So I'm getting a lot of questions on AI searches from my clients. How are we going to get optimized? How are we going to come up for AI? And it's it really follows suit that if you're doing good SEO, then organically you're going to start getting found for AI searches, right? So, from our perspective, good SEO.
Can I jump in here actually and ask another question?
Yeah. Okay.
Good SEO is actually a pretty tough thing to define. I'm going to challenge you a little bit and say, what is good SEO that would help in AISEO ranking?
Okay. So great. So originally when we were doing SEO, we were doing a lot of it for machines, right? Like that was our strategy. We're doing SEO for machines, and we're hoping that the machines, interpret that as something that they can understand. We have this amount of keywords, we have this amount of backlinks, we have this amount of, relevant pages to the topics that we want to talk about. We position ourselves, as an expert in that subject, right? So that's traditional SEO. So the AI chatbots, what they look for, or not chatbots, but the AI tools, what they look for is more conversational. So more SEO for humans, right? They're looking for questions and answers. FAQ pages are really big in helping websites get found for questions, using natural language strategies when you're writing content on a website when you're talking about the different services that you offer, so that you have sort of that question and answer sort of built in and baked into these pages, so that when somebody asks that question organically into the search engines, it comes back with your page as the result, for, what the answer would be. Also putting in all the back end stuff that needs to be in there. So structured data, schema markup, name, address, phone, NAP stuff in the back end of the sites to really make sure that that the search engines do have a clear understanding of what that page is about, what the topics are that are covered on it, and what sort of FAQs may exist even on that individual page to help your website get found over some of the competitors.
Yeah, I think 2 points. Listing management, I think, is becoming more relevant again. And also the reviews are fueling GEO. We work with a large SEO company in the automotive industry, and they're finding that that when they partner with us and deploy our reputation marketing services, especially the way that we generate reviews, we generate a lot of reviews, and the GEO is driven by the sentiment which is being expressed in those reviews. And so that's pretty exciting for our business.
I think, Chris, I don't know, I'm sure it's something you're already doing, but one of the things I've started doing more recently when I'm talking to my clients about reviews, because local search is part of what we handle for some of our clients, is I wrote them basically like a how to ask for a review document. I'm sure you have more robust things than I do about this because that's your main service, but the including in the reviews things like where they're located, the type of service that was provided, how long it took, like not going all the way down to like what the price I paid was, but like including as much relevant information to geolocate that review to a particular customer and to a service that was provided. I feel like that's something that should be being pushed a lot more in these reviews. I don't know how you get people to actually write them well, but I'm sure you
I love that, Sam, because we actually train the sales reps to discover the why the customer did business. Like if you read reviews today, they're a lot of vanilla. They're the same thing. Oh, the company did a great job, because every company is asking for reviews. So if you look at reviews, oh, they did a great job, 5 stars. But when we train sales reps, we're like, try to get your customers to communicate why they chose you. Uncover their why and get them to express that. And then if you add the geo aspect of, hey, they drove 50 miles, they drove past 3 other dealerships to come here, that's gold.
It's a combination of the reviews, the backlinks, the local citations, even social proof, is a really great AI strategy to use to help you get found for things. But for AI, I don't think it's going to kill SEO. Like that's a big thing. Like AI is going to kill SEO. I think it just raises the bar for the quality and the authenticity and the authority that you need to build for the sites that you're working on, and make sure that you have the clarity on those sites to answer the questions that people are pushing into AI. I think that's going to be.
I think, Flynn, I want to bring you in on this. I think you had some unique perspectives.
I was going to say, I think the social proof is why. So we started doing Reddit as part of certain campaigns. When we initially started it, we actually sold it. It was managed by my social team. And 6 months in, we realized that it's almost more of an SEO AIO play at this point. I think similar to the reasons that we're talking about reviews is that it's one of the few platforms that's still human. I think they've taken a lot of measures to try to prevent spam. I think agencies are paying enough attention that it's going to be a real test of how strong those measures are. But that's one of the things that we really think about is how do you still get humans to talk about you? If it's local reviews is great, Reddit's good, these forums are one of the things that were never really a part of our SEO strategies 5-6 years ago. And now it's pretty hard to deny that they're having some effect on search, on AIO, on where your business is showing up. So it's something you have to at least be paying attention to.
Brad, I think that the one thing you said that really stuck to me, I feel like this has probably been said to me 1,000 times, but we really were writing content for Google. It was like you had a very strict set of rules for how to write a meta description and a header tag and how many characters it should be. And the rules of the game have changed where it's if people can't understand you, you're in trouble.
Right. We were optimizing for for rankings, and now we have to optimize for answers. That's the fundamental change, I think, is you just have to shift your thought process of how you're going to answer the question that they have that's going to bring them to this page, right? As opposed to how you're going to rank for this keyword that they're searching in Google, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap up here. I think we're just about out of time. We'll get this wrapped up. The thought I have on this that kind of went across the board was, I touched on it earlier, but authenticity is so big right now. Writing content for a computer before, but writing content for a human now. And your push on Reddit is interesting because Reddit has the moderators that pull down anything that feels like it's inauthentic. So there's this push to put authentic content in front of people so they can trust it. And then Chris, I wanted to touch on the review aspect that you and Sam were talking about there. One thing that I had heard is that AI systems are really crawling reviews across like all platforms, which takes away some of the gamification of it, where you can't just launch a bunch of Google reviews. You have to have reviews. Someone mentioned even the yellow page review was pulled up on one of the ChatGPT like overviews. And I was like, that's wild because it hasn't been relevant for anybody for years, but with it recognizing your full brand across the internet, there's so much importance on playing the game naturally rather than just gamifying it by flooding one section with everything you wanted that beat the system before. So
I have an interesting tidbit of what we did to try to improve our optimizations, because, one of our clients is like, hey, I want to be found when somebody's looking for the best, portable storage company, right? And AI is giving a result. And so, going into AI and asking, what are the sources that you're using to justify this answer? And they basically tell you their roadmap for how they are coming up with those answers. And then, you just have to step into those opportunities, to help yourself get ranked for those things.
That's a transparency we haven't seen from all search engines.
Well, so it's very true. But one of the things that we do whenever we're doing any sort of AI research or ChatGPT research or anything like that is, you just ask it, note your sources. All right, these, and it gives you the sources of where they're getting the data from. And then you say, I don't want to use these sources because these are, Reddit sources. So they're not credible because they're just like people. Let's look like, publications that are legitimate publications. Let's use those as the sources for our, for the information that we're going to actually lean on to get facts.
Yeah, I see that in my custom instructions in ChatGPT is to always list your sources for whatever you are telling me. It's included in every single response it gives me. Because I was like, I need to look at where you're getting this information from.
It's a marketing person that's built some distrust for the internet. Chris, I think I had slightly cut you off when I had chatted about reviews. Did you have a final piece you wanted to share there?
No, I was just saying that, of course, everybody wants Google reviews, but we encourage our clients to get reviews. If it's any specific industry, if it's healthcare, go across Health Grades, ZocDocs, all the different ones. Just don't focus on Google. In the automotive industry, it's DealerRater, Cars.com, even Yelp. On the West Coast, we have to encourage Yelp, even though they'll flag you if you get caught soliciting reviews for your business. They'll put a big red banner across your Yelp listing. We saw that recently at one of the dealerships.
I assume even if the review comes through, the thought of every review that looks like it's made by a computer still drives me nuts. I'm excited for authentic reviews. If there's any way of actually making that other than like video, which is even questionable now with AI, authenticity wins over everything for me right now.
And I know that this is ending, but I just want to end on this note. I don't know if anybody else has experienced the review extortion scams that are going on right now. We actually just got one last week. Woke up in the morning and there were 11 one-star reviews for my agency, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And I mean, we got it removed within 24 hours. It wasn't a big deal, but it was terrifying. And there was the little, hey, here's my WhatsApp number. Call me if you want to make these reviews disappear, in the last review. So
it's like negative SEO for a little while, where you could throw some bad backlinks at a competitor and just rock their world.
Those were the days. Yeah.
Hey guys, this has been an awesome episode of SEO On Air. I really appreciate you all being here. We'll share as much of the information as we can with you as the release goes live. But thank you for being on SEO On Air. Have a great day.
Nice meeting you guys.